You know, they say if you listen closely enough, you can hear the exact moment your heart shatters. I used to think that was just some poetic nonsense, until I lived it. My name's Mike. I'm 36, been married to my wife, Sarah, for 11 years. We had what I thought was a solid life together, a house, a couple of dogs, weekend barbecues with friends. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Looking back, maybe I should have seen the signs. She'd been distant for months, more glued to her phone than ever, locking it whenever I walked by. But I trusted her. I loved her. I figured maybe she was just stressed or going through something. God, I was so damn naive. It all unraveled on a random Tuesday. I came home early from work, just one of those lucky days when the boss let us go early. I thought I'd surprise Sarah, maybe take her out for lunch. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed an unfamiliar car parked out front. It was an old beat-up Honda, the kind a teenager would drive. My stomach twisted, but I pushed it down. I stepped inside, and that's when I heard it. Voices. Laughter. And then, the unmistakable sound of a bed creaking. My feet felt like lead as I walked toward our bedroom. The door was cracked open just enough for me to see inside. And there she was. My wife. My beautiful, loving wife. Naked, tangled up with some kid who couldn't have been more than 18. I don't know how long I stood there. Maybe a second, maybe a lifetime. My brain struggled to process it, like it refused to believe what my eyes were showing me. But the truth was right there in front of me. Sarah had thrown away our life for some damn high school graduate. Something inside me snapped. I pushed the door open, and the look on her face when she saw me, pure panic, will be burned into my memory forever. Mike! She started, scrambling to grab a sheet, but I wasn't interested in hearing whatever excuse she was about to make. The kid, because that's all he was, a goddamn kid, stared at me like a deer in headlights. He looked scared out of his mind. He should have been. I didn't say anything. I just turned around and walked out. I don't remember much after that. I drove around for hours, trying to make sense of it, but there was no sense to be made. She didn't cheat on me with a coworker or an old flame. No, she threw away our marriage for a kid who probably still lived with his parents. That night, Sarah called me. Texted me. Begged me to talk. I didn't answer. What was there to say? The next day, I called a lawyer. She showed up at my office, crying, swearing it was a mistake, that she loved me, that she'd been going through something, and didn't know how to tell me. I just stared at her, feeling nothing. The love I had for her, the trust, the life we built, it had all been wiped out in an instant. Now here I am. Divorced. Starting over. I still don't know what the hell she was thinking. Maybe she wanted to feel young again. Maybe she got off on the attention. Maybe she was just selfish. All I know is, she took 11 years and threw them away for a boy who couldn't even buy his own beer. And for that, I'll never forgive her. The days after I left felt surreal. I went through the motions, waking up, working, coming home to an empty house, but none of it felt real. It was like I had stepped into someone else's life, one where my wife wasn't the woman I thought she was. Sarah kept trying to reach me. She left voicemails, sent long, desperate texts. She even had the audacity to show up at my parents' house, crying to my mom about how she made a mistake, and wanted to fix things. A mistake? That's what she called it. A mistake is forgetting to take the trash out. A mistake is sending a text to the wrong person. You don't, accidentally, undress and crawl into bed with a teenager. I didn't bother responding. The divorce was the only thing on my mind. I met with my lawyer, laid everything out on the table. He told me I could go the route of infidelity claims, but honestly, I didn't care about the legal technicalities. I just wanted out. But Sarah? Oh, she wasn't ready to let go. She came to the house one night, pounding on the door. When I opened it, she pushed past me, tears streaming down her face. Mike, please, she sobbed, hands shaking. I swear I didn't mean to hurt you. It was just... I laughed. Actually laughed. Just what, Sarah? I said. Just a stupid, meaningless fling? Just you screwing a kid in our bed? She flinched, like hearing the truth out loud made it real. But it was real. She tried reaching for me, but I stepped back. I saw the desperation in her eyes, the regret, but I felt nothing. I wasn't the same guy who had walked into that bedroom days ago. That version of me died the moment I saw her with him. It didn't mean anything, she whispered. I was feeling lost. I wanted to feel young again. And he was there, and you didn't think about me. About us. I finished for her. Silence. That was all the answer I needed. I exhaled, shaking my head. You threw away our marriage for some high school graduate, Sarah. Do you even hear yourself? Her lip trembled. I love you, Mike. I scoffed. No, you don't. You love the idea of me. You love the stability, the comfort. But if you really loved me, you wouldn't have done this. She stood there, looking broken. But she wasn't the one who had been betrayed. She wasn't the one who had their entire life ripped out from under them. I pointed to the door. Leave. She didn't move at first, just stared at me, like she thought if she stood there long enough, I'd change my mind. I didn't. Finally, she turned and walked out. I didn't watch her leave. Didn't watch her car pull away. I just shut the door. That was the last time I saw her in person. The divorce went through faster than I expected. She didn't contest anything. I think she knew there was no fixing this. Months passed. I moved into a new apartment, started hitting the gym more, even went out with friends again. And slowly, the weight of it all started to lift. Then one day, I got a message from an unknown number. I miss you. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Please, can we talk? I stared at the text for a long time. Then I deleted it. She made her choice. And I made mine. I moved on. And I never looked back. Months turned into a year. The wounds weren't fresh anymore, but the scars? They were there. Some days I didn't think about her at all. Others, I'd catch myself staring at old photos buried deep in my phone, wondering how the hell I didn't see it coming. But here's the thing about moving on, it happens whether you want it to or not. Life keeps going. I started dating again, cautiously at first. I wasn't looking for anything serious, just something to remind me that there were still good women out there. Women who wouldn't throw away a decade for some teenage thrill. Then one night, I ran into someone I never expected to see again. I was at a bar with some buddies, just enjoying a Saturday night, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. I turned, and there she was. Sarah. She looked different. Not in a bad way, just different. A little thinner, hair cut shorter. Her eyes widened when she saw me, and for a second neither of us said anything. I could have walked away. I should have. But curiosity got the better of me. Mike! She breathed, like she couldn't believe I was real. Sarah! My voice was flat, neutral. She gave me a nervous smile, then glanced down at the drink in her hand. Didn't expect to see you here. Same. I took a sip of my beer. You still around town? She nodded. Yeah. Got my own place. Things have been different. I raised an eyebrow. Different how? She hesitated. I lost a lot, Mike. More than I realized. I wanted to tell her that was her own fault. That she'd made her bed, and now she had to lie in it. But I didn't say anything. Instead, she looked me in the eye and said, I know I don't deserve anything from you, but can I just say I'm sorry? Not just for what I did, but for how I hurt you. Something about the way she said it felt real. Not like those desperate apologies she threw at me right after I caught her. This one wasn't about getting me back. It wasn't about saving face. It was just an acknowledgement of the damage she caused. And for the first time since everything happened, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. I nodded, setting my drink down. Yeah. You can say it. She swallowed hard. I'm sorry, Mike. I really am. I exhaled slowly, then gave her a small, almost imperceptible nod. I know. She didn't ask to get back together. She didn't beg for a second chance. And honestly, I think that's what made the moment feel real. We talked for a little while longer, just small talk, nothing deep. Then, eventually, she finished her drink, gave me one last look, and left. And you know what? That was the last time I ever saw her. I never heard from her again. No more texts, no more calls. And that's how I knew it was really over. Not just the marriage, but the hold she had on me. I walked away from that bar that night feeling lighter than I had in years. And for the first time since she shattered my heart, I knew I was finally free. Life went on. After that night at the bar, I never saw Sarah again. No more texts, no more unexpected run-ins. It was like the universe had finally closed that chapter for good. And I was fine with that. A year later, I was in a much better place. I had moved into a new home, nothing too big, just a nice, quiet place that was mine. Work was going well, I had picked up some new hobbies, and I was dating again. Not just casually either. Her name was Emily. She was nothing like Sarah, in the best way possible. She was kind, steady, and had this way of making me laugh even on my worst days. She didn't play games, didn't hide her phone, didn't make me feel like I had to second-guess everything. For the first time in a long time, I felt happy. Then, one evening, out of nowhere, I got a message from an old friend. "Dude, did you hear about Sarah?" My stomach tightened, but I forced myself to shake it off. I wasn't going to get dragged into her life again. "No, and I don't really care," I replied. A few minutes later, another message popped up. "She got arrested." That made me pause. I clicked on the link he sent, and my breath caught in my throat. It was a local news article. Sarah had been caught in some kind of scandal involving an underage student. I read the article twice, my mind racing. Apparently, she had been working as a teaching assistant at a local school, something I didn't even know she had gone back to doing. And just like before, she had gotten involved with a younger guy. But this time, the kid wasn't 18. He was 17. And she had been caught. There was evidence, texts, photos, even a school's security camera that showed them sneaking off together. Parents had pressed charges. It was bad. Real bad. I sat back in my chair, letting out a long breath. I should have been shocked, but deep down, I wasn't. She hadn't learned a damn thing. She had ruined our marriage chasing after some teenage fantasy, and now she was ruining her own life the same way. Only this time, there were real consequences. I didn't reach out. I didn't say anything. I just closed the article and got back to my life. Because Sarah? She was nothing but a ghost from my past now. And I had a future to focus on. I didn't think about Sarah much after I read the article. At least, I tried not to. But no matter how much I wanted to push it out of my head, a small part of me couldn't help but wonder how far she had fallen. She wasn't just my ex-wife, she was someone I had once loved, someone I had built a life with. And now? She was sitting in a jail cell, waiting for a court date. A few weeks passed, and then I got another message from my friend. "She's taking a plea deal. No prison, but she's on the registry." Jesus. I didn't reply. I didn't even know what to say. Sarah had hit rock bottom, and there was no coming back from something like that. No one hires you after that. No one trusts you. Whatever future she might have had, it was gone. And yet, even with all that, I felt nothing. No anger. No pity. No satisfaction. She had destroyed her own life. That was her burden to carry, not mine. Moving on for good. By the time another year rolled around, I had left my old life behind completely. Emily and I were still together, and things were getting serious. I had never thought about marriage again after what happened with Sarah, but with Emily? It felt different. Real. One night, as we sat on the couch, she turned to me and asked something I hadn't expected. "Do you ever think about her?" I sighed, rubbing the back of my neck. "Not really. I mean, not in the way you'd think. Emily nodded, like she understood. I just hope you know you deserve better than what she did to you. I smiled, pulling her closer. I already have better. And that was the moment I knew. I was done looking back. Sarah was nothing but a name from my past, a lesson learned the hard way. And I was finally free. Years passed. Life moved forward in ways I never could have imagined back when I was standing in the wreckage of my marriage. Emily and I got married in a quiet ceremony by the lake, just close friends and family, no big spectacle. I didn't want another massive wedding. I wanted something real, something intimate. And it was perfect. We bought a house together, one that actually felt like a home. A place free from the ghosts of my past, where I could finally build something new. Then one evening, out of nowhere, I got an email. From her. Sarah. I almost didn't open it. Almost deleted it without a second thought. But curiosity got the best of me. It was short. Only a few sentences. Mike. I don't expect a response, and I know I don't deserve one. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. Not in a desperate, take me back kind of way. Just in a real way. I ruined my life. I lost everything. And I have no one to blame but myself. I've been in therapy, trying to figure out why I did the things I did. I don't have a good answer yet, but I wanted you to know, what I did to you had nothing to do with you. You were a good husband. I was just broken. I hope you're happy now. You deserve to be. Take care. Sarah. I stared at the screen for a long time. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. If anything, I just felt tired. She had spent so long running from whatever demons she had inside her, and in the end, they had caught up to her. I could hear the weight in her words, the realization of what she had thrown away. But it wasn't my problem anymore. I closed the email. I didn't respond. Instead, I shut my laptop, walked into the living room, and found Emily sitting on the couch, reading a book. I kissed her on the forehead, sat down beside her, and held her hand. That was all that mattered now. Sarah was my past. And I was done looking back.